Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a new episode of Flesh Wound Farce, where we review and discuss your and our favorite comedy films. This is the world's first and only combination trivia host and professional wrestling announcer of Chilean descent that currently resides in Southern California, aka your trivia tribal chief. Also with me on this program, as always, world famous juggler Greg Larson. How you doing, Greg?
Well, I acknowledge you, Ozzy,
Thank you.
and yeah, I'm doing well. I'm very curious to see how the trivia tribal chief feels about this film because there was a lot of questions going through my head
Oh, yeah.
throughout it. So yeah. How are you doing, Ozzy?
I'm doing fantastic, and we will get to that which you allude shortly. Also with us, ladies and gentlemen, Flesh Wound producer Todd. How you doing, Todd?
Well, happy President's Day, Ozzy. So
Happy President's Day, and that is why we are reviewing and discussing the film FDR American Badass, which was released on September 24th, 2012, rated R. Todd, do you have a trailer available?
yes, sir, we do.
She does this punk!
When the werewolf attacked you, didn't get your life.
Goblins!
You released a small stream. You've got the polio, Frank. Does my still work?
I think the werewolf might have come from Germany.
Doesn't make any sense.
Germany, Italy, Japan are joining forces.
I say we go to war.
We'll reach into the gas chamber on this one.
I call this the Delano 2000.
Get wet.
I wanted to be the president of the United States. I wanted to lead this great nation of ours in its darkest hour. And now I am going to lead you into war.
I present Douglas MacArthur, Chief of Staff of the United States Army.
Dougie Mack.
This is Commander Winston Churchill.
This is General Dwight Eisenhower.
Fellini.
Eleanor Roosevelt.
Albert Einstein, a real jackass.
Einstein.
I'm a motorcycle of death. I ain't got no sidecar.
Damn you, Frank!
We have nothing to fear but Marco Polio fear itself.
Oh, Lou, cancel my soccer camp tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to be any good.
Balls are coming.
So here's the funny thing is that, and starting off in initial thoughts, Todd, when you first mentioned this, I immediately believed I was going to hate it. And I can say that while I didn't love it, I did not hate it as much as others. And I could get into that primarily. Now, just to finish off the details, once again, released on, this was FDR American Badass, released on September 24th, 2012, rated R with runtime of 93 minutes, which also helped. Written by Ross Patterson, directed by Garrett Branwith, and starring Barry Bostwick as FDR. Now, I used to watch Spin City.
I was going to say.
So I had like his kind of bumblingness of being an idiot. I enjoyed watching that. So seeing him as FDR was actually enjoyable for me. And I think that might have helped keep along with it. And I really, really enjoyed the scenes that did not feature any werewolves. The beginning I actually really enjoyed. And the blood on the face and the polio, like I thought that was a really funny gag, right? However, once it turned into all Germans are werewolves and all Italians are werewolves and all Japanese are werewolves, every time I saw scenes with werewolves, I felt like I was watching a Mad TV sketch.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it wasn't so much upsetting as much more like, oh, they really tried. You know, like, okay, so what made me upset with Lost Skeleton is that a lot of the characters don't play their stuff seriously and they just suck. At least here, they were playing their characters seriously with the ridiculousness of the things they were saying, of the expressions, by the way, that they were using. Like I feel that each actor was told, if you come up with some random expletive in an expression or whatever, go ahead and use it. Right. I did just mention him as one of the starring roles. This also did star Lin Shaye as Eleanor Roosevelt and Bruce McGill, who I recall from the film Black Sheep. You did also have Ray Wise as Douglas MacArthur, who actually had my favorite line that I will get into shortly, but I want to get you guys' initial thoughts before we move into that.
Had never heard of this film. And then when I watched the trailer, I was just like, oh, I'm sending this to my brother-in-law. And like, I feel like this is one of those ones. And I think my wife, so I actually watched this twice. And because I kind of suckered my wife into it. And I was like, hey, I've got a movie I got to watch today. It's on FDR. Do you want to watch that with me? And she was like, yeah, sure. So, and probably about 10, like at first she was definitely laughing a lot, and her commentary of it was, I can't tell if it's so stupid that it's genius or if it's just stupid. So yeah, but I was definitely along for the ride. And what's interesting is my rating changed between the first and the second viewing. So really? Which I'll kind of interesting. When we get to that part of it.
Todd?
Yeah, I've seen this one a few times. Big fan of it. We decided to do a presidential horror show around the time of election on Flesh Wound Horror. And this one kind of got lumped into it. And I was like, this is a must for farce. Even like I knew Greg was going to have a good time with it. You're the wild card. So, but rewatching it before the show, I was like, Ozzy's going to at least, there's too many good lines. And it's funny because sometimes like some of the dialogue, like some of the like modern street dialogue FDR is dropping, but it works. Like it doesn't make a lick of sense why he's talking a little bit like that then, but it's just, it's fun. That's like my main thing. It's fun.
There was a lot of, again, fun lines that really helped. It was almost like putting ketchup on questionable fries, or like having some Thousand Island. You know what I mean? Like,
well, ketchup on questionable fries, very fitting.
The ketchup and mustard jokes. Come on, Ozzy.
I didn't even realize that. That's it was a lot of those lines that kept me like wanting to keep watching, right? Despite getting to the werewolf scenes where I'm just like, all right,
I get it. Like,
just keep, okay, I get it. Keep going. You know, like
the humor's so strong without it. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, it doesn't bother me, like the werewolf stuff, because it is, a genre picture still, but it's still horror comedy majority. A little bit. Only reason it gets any horror mention is because there's werewolves. Let's be honest. That's
sure,
because they're not scary werewolves. You're not like, it's a werewolf. It's all done in humor. But I also get what you're saying. Like, it could have just been this FDR just doing FDR things, and it would have been. I would have had a great time with it. Right. I get what it didn't need the werewolves to be as fun as it was. It does add something though.
One of the lines, this was actually given by Ray Wise, that when he said it, I was watching this movie at like 1:00 in the morning. Everybody's asleep, and when he said it, I had to cover my mouth from laughing too hard out loud. But he says, "My father was a midget, so I'll keep this short." And just goes into his thing. If you're not paying attention, oh man, like you missed a great one. But again, the creative expletives they use is always fun. The leg gag with the polio is hilarious.
Yes,
just because it's so extremely outrageous, you can't help but laugh at it. Who would like to go first with their favorite?
Well, I got a few, but I got one main one. Do you want me to go on this one, Greg?
Sure, go for it.
All right. The one that got me the most, I didn't think I was going to get it from a Kevin Sorbo cameo, but I did. There's a scene where Kevin Sorbo playing Abraham Lincoln. They're high and they're flying around, and he sees a man in the window, and the man says, "Hey Abe, what's up? Thanks for freeing me. Look, I'm fucking a white girl. Emancipate that ass. Emancipate that ass." Was the line that got me. And yes, there will be a bleep there.
Okay.
Because I just read it straight up.
So that scene, that exact same scene, is one of my favorite moments, but not because of the film. You see, I told you I watched it a second time, and my dog was with us. And anytime there's animals on TV, like a dog or a cat or anything along those lines, she will start barking ferociously at the TV. And she started doing that during that scene. And my wife, being so quick, she goes, "It's because they're doing it doggy style." I was like, yes. Oh, so proud of her. But that part aside, actual moments in the film, there were so many like great lines within it. I guess, man, just the moment. So there's the ketchup and mustard scene that we talked about, like, because she's the secretary is going up to his legs and talks about how it reminds her of her past and, hot dog eating contest. And it's one thing for her to start having this like kind of weird sexual moment with his polio legs. But like when she pulls up her dress and she's got ketchup and mustard holstered in her garter belts, it's just like, it's so absurd that I loved every bit of it. So yeah, that was just one of many, many, many great moments within the film.
I have another line like right in that scene that gets me. You mind if I throw it out there?
Go for it.
And I this is the first time I caught it, but it's also with the secretary, Missy, played by Robin Sidney of Full Moon Features fame. She's in a ton of Full Moon stuff, Ginger Dead Man and all that good stuff. There's a line she says where she's like, he's talking to her and she's like, oh, he tells her, read it aloud. And so she just screams back the answer at him. And he's like, no. Yeah. that just read it aloud. And she thought loud. Made me laugh.
So going into the ratings here, the movie as is, I would sit at a 3. The lines that are added and the way they're delivered push it up to 3.5. And Barry Bostwick's performance as FDR push it to a 3.5 from me.
Way
That's
higher
fair.
than I expected.
Yeah.
Right. How about you guys?
So the first go round of watching it, I was at a 4.5. I was like, this movie is hilarious. I felt like the end, or outside of the initial scene with the werewolf, every other part of the movie with the werewolves, I was like, there's no reason for them to be werewolves, like at that point in time. Like they don't even do anything werewolf like, so like that was kind of stupid, but
like the Mad TV sketch part of it.
Right. But
doesn't help, it looks that cheap too.
right. But it was funny, like through and through. Like there were so many great lines and great moments, and like even bits that like kind of acknowledged earlier parts of it that you didn't expect, to come back. Like, when his kid was shitting in a vase, and then later he even brings up, we have one kid who's old enough to shit in a vase. And I'm just like, without the earlier scene, that would just been even weirder. But so that's why I really enjoyed it. But then when I watched it the second time, I realized, okay, now that I've heard those jokes, like, yeah, they are kind of funny, but there's no meat to the movie, really. Like, it's just one line after another line after another line, which are all funny. But if you're watching it a second time, that 93 minutes feels very long. And
interesting.
And so I do find if you continue to watch it another time, was maybe why I watch movies only once for the most part. Like it did feel like it felt like it just didn't have the substance that you want for a movie that will last, like those Police Academy movies and such that you'll happily rewatch again. So The second time it did drop down to about a 3.5 for me. But yeah. For that first time, 4.5, fantastically funny.
Todd?
Well, I watched it 2 months ago, so I have a little bit of a buffer. So yeah, because I still laugh just as hard, but I'm at that 4.5. Maybe I should not watch it today and like double up. It'll drop. You need a 2-month minimum, I think, maybe. But yeah, 4.5.
I'll say maybe that might have skewed me similar to Greg's. While I didn't see it a second time, I saw these immediately after Gremlins 2. So I didn't really have like a cleansed palate, so to speak, where, okay, I already saw some funny gags. Like, you know.
But you were expecting nothing, let's be real.
I was expecting Lost
watch
Skeleton with a higher budget.
Did you watch the trailer first out of curiosity?
No.
Oh.
I actually
That's
just
good.
watched the I just saw the poster of him with the wheelchair, and that's why I messaged the group asking if this was a Fist or Farce entry, just because I saw him with the wheelchair and
the
I wasn't sure if it was I wasn't sure if it was going to be mostly that, but it was his delivery with a lot of stuff. I mean, especially if you were a fan of the show Spin City and you watched a lot of it, you're kind of going to be partial to his performance, and that's going to keep you into it despite the werewolf scenes.
I agree. I'm a big Spin City fan too. So, and that's like the first thing I think of when I see Barry Bostwick. So,
right. Because when I saw the poster, looking at him and then seeing the name, like it wasn't clicking at first until I had to go into the profile and then make the connection. Oh, that's him, of course.
But yeah, like this seems like a movie, like the director, like they were pulling favors from Friends, because this has way too big of a too good of a cast for the budget level it's at. Because like if this was shot on film, I think it would have looked way better. But it has like that, you said, Mad TV. It has a cheap TV feel, like of a lower budget film. Yeah. Whereas something shot on film or even lit differently, it's going to look more polished. But that's my only thing about it. It does look cheap.
Yes. So as of January 26th, this is available to stream on Prime Video if you'd like to check it out, or if you're a subscriber of Fubo TV, that is available there. Crackle is available as well as Pluto with ads.
Is it still on Tubi?
Tubi, I do not see. It looks like it is not Tubi.
Was this in the theaters or was this?
No, this was not. This came out of the wave of the presidential films after Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Slayer, or whatever.
Got it.
And then there was Abraham Lincoln vs. Zombies, FDR. There's a few just random presidential ones in that wave. So,
are they all the same companies or?
No. Just like one of them's like the Asylum, who did like the Sharknado. Let's capitalize on that, and we'll make him versus zombies instead of vampires. Then
got it.
This company did that. So yeah.
All righty. So, of course, feel free to check that out. You can rent or purchase wherever you get your favorite digital content. And, of course, if you are in the Orange County area this Tuesday, I'll be at the Rush Bar and Grill hosting trivia at 7 o'clock in Lake Forest, and this Wednesday at the Brewery in Placentia, also at 7 o'clock, both free-to-play and prizes for the top winning teams. Before we head out for the evening, do you guys have anything that you would like to share? Todd, did you have that Toxic Avenger poster last time?
Yes.
I'm just noticing it now. I'm sorry.
Because if you haven't checked it out on the channel, we do have another review of the Toxic Avenger reboot, which is coming to theaters this year finally. And
is that for sure?
Oh yeah, no, it's official. It's been picked up. It's coming out unrated in theaters. And we also did an unboxing of the new Toxic Avenger Super 7 Ultimate figure today too. So it's on the channel. So if you haven't seen it, check it out.
All righty. Check that out if you have not. And of course, check us out next week for a brand new episode for world's famous juggler Greg Larson and Flesh Wound producer Todd. I'm Ozzy V, your trivia tribal chief. Have a good night. We'll see you next week on a brand new episode of Flesh Wound Farce.